Greetings. Welcome to QueenElle LLC. This is QueenElle. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today's video is regarding the upcoming full moon in Libra, which takes place on April 6th. It actually takes place overnight between the 5th and the 6th. So around midnight or shortly before midnight Central Time on the 5th that night. So depending on the time zone you're in, it will make a difference. Closer to 1 a.m. on the East Coast, a little earlier in the evening if you're on the West Coast, but it does take place overnight between the 5th and the 6th. The shadow period is taking place right now because it occurs a few days prior to and a few days afterwards. And if you're not familiar with shadow period, it means that the energy that will be projected or exhibited by this lunar transit, that you will feel the energy and can use to your benefit this energy in the days leading up to and the days after the transit takes place. So let's dive in. Now, if you're not familiar with full moon energy, the full moon is about releasing those things that no longer serve you. If you've been manifesting since the new moon, then you will see those things come to fruition. The seeds you've sown, you will see them harvesting. And again, it's all about releasing, releasing the things that no longer serve you. The moon is all about the shadow work. It's all about those hidden gifts that we have, as well as hidden trauma. So things that we hide from ourselves, the things that we hide from others as well. I would encourage everyone to find out their moon sign, and the sun sign is what's most universally recognized as far as the date that you were born and that being your zodiac sign. However, the moon sign in some cultures is considered even more relevant to who we are, because it's who we are on the inside. It's our inner emotions. So to find out your moon sign, you can easily go to your search engine and key in your date of birth, as well as the location that you were born, as close to the location as possible if you're unaware of exactly where you were born. And so even the county where you were born, if you live in the United States, that would be most helpful. And then the time of your birth. So that's important as well. I would say specifically for the moon enters and exits zodiac signs so frequently, but about every couple of days. So even if you don't know the exact time you were born, you should be able to determine your moon sign. So let's say you know the time of day you were born, then key in a roundabout time and even test out some different ones if you don't know the exact time, just to see if it makes a difference or not. It may not, but if you know the exact time of birth, then that would be most optimal. So it's important to know your moon sign when you're doing this shadow work and when you're looking at these lunar transits, such as this full moon in Libra, because depending on what sign the moon was in when you were born, that may affect how you feel this energy taking place as the moon is in Libra. So Libra's an air sign, and Libra is all about balance. It's all about finding the harmony, the yin yang in your life. And the full moon, since we're doing shadow work and we're releasing, I did take some notes for this upcoming cycle, as well as the days before and afterward, to pinpoint what the moon will be doing and interactions that the moon will have with some of the other planets, and entering and exiting different zodiac signs, just to help lend some more information with regard to what we can expect and how we can optimize this energy. Okay, so if you're interested in topics like this and this type of information, then stick around. Okay, so One note that I made, so you'll see me looking off to the side. This is where I have my notes. And if you have been watching my other videos, thank you so much. Welcome back. But I have the same background, but my filming setup is a bit different. But nevertheless, if you see me looking off to the side this way, I'm looking at the notes that I have just to stay on track with everything that I wanted to discuss. Okay. Now, the overarching theme that I noted is to find balance in your self-care work. So that's definitely of the utmost importance, is to find the balance. That's what this full moon in Libra energy is giving. Is what is a catchphrase that goes around is finding your work-life balance. This is finding the balance in your self-care work among all the things that we have going on. Okay, and truly prioritizing that self-care work. So the balance in your shadow work, which is definitely important. It's the hard work, but it's some very fulfilling work that we all need to do just to get our chakras aligned, just to feel most balanced in our life. Now, again, it's all about releasing and that manifestation work as well in order to receive the manifestation, the things that we desire, the things that we set our intentions for with the new moon cycle. It's important to do the work. That's the main thing. We have to do the work. Okay. So starting April 4th, it's still the shadow period leading up to the full moon in Libra, but April 4th, healing and love is involved in the shadow period of this work. So we have some other transits taking place with Venus as well earlier in the week. Again, healing and love is involved in the shadow period as we're doing the shadow work moving towards full moon. Also, April 4th, we have moon entering Libra. So that's when the moon enters Libra. And then we also have moon trine Pluto on April 4th. And so I'll link my planetary aspects video, but trine is a very lucky, very positive aspect. So the moon being trine Pluto, and Pluto's all about rebirth and renewal in our lives. So great time to do that shadow work and let the shadow work help you to evolve and elevate in your life. Then we have April 5th, moon is square Mars. Now Mars is all about action. It's all about the physical energy that we have. And with the moon being square Mars, it's important to note that don't let the shadow work stop you. Again, this is in a lot of ways, it can be difficult work to revisit things from the past, revisit things from our childhood, and to remind ourselves, refresh our memory about those things, to ponder those things as we look to heal from them. It's important to not let that work, that aspect of the work, to stop you. Okay? It hurts. It is work, but it's important to know that you've got to go through it to get to it. Okay? Remember that. You've got to go through it to get to it. To get where you want to go, to get where you want to be, to see yourself on the other side, and to receive and obtain what you desire. Okay? Now, also, so that's April 5th. Then April 6th, we have the moon in opposition of the sun and Jupiter. So what does that mean? So April 6th, now we're entering into the actual date of the full moon. Now, the moon being in opposition of the sun, it's a clash, obviously, because of the word opposition, but it means not to lose sight of who you are. Okay? Also, as you're doing this shadow work, don't beat yourself up. Don't allow your thoughts to be consumed with all that you're not, or to put yourself back in the place of where you were. But as you're doing this shadow work, it's important to remind yourself of how far you've come, of the growth that you have sustained, that you've received thus far, of all the blessings just of the different placement in your life, the different levels, because there are levels to this. So it's important to know that the healing through shadow work is essential to your longevity, your prosperity, and your abundance. And that's where the moon in opposition of Jupiter comes in. So I'm telling you, you must remind yourself of these things. You must affirm them, because on April 6th, that may be the day that you feel, the most as you're going through the changes of your emotions. But it's important just to remind yourself that there is healing involved at the end of this shadow work period, okay? Now, also, your hidden gifts and talents, they're essential to your success in the future, in this lifetime. They're essential. Now, it's also important to note from April 6th through April 10th, I would recommend that you be deeply engrossed in the work, in this shadow work. And also note that the elevation is around the corner. Now, one piece of advice that I have is from the dates of April 6th through April 10th, that it would be great for you to be deeply engrossed in this work, because elevation is around the corner. It's on the horizon. So April 6th through April 10th would be great days to truly dive into the shadow work and to focus on it. Now, let me tell you why. So April 7th, the moon enters Scorpio. Now, remember I said the moon is moving through different zodiac signs every couple of days. So the moon enters Scorpio on April 7th. Now, Scorpio is a water sign, but I always consider Scorpio like a fiery water sign. If we had to look at all of the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio's a water sign, but I'm not sure if maybe it's because of it being the third of the water signs in the calendar year. As far as the zodiac calendar goes, starting from Aries to Pisces, it's in the middle, but it gives fiery, but it's water sign. So the reason I say that is this. So with this moon entering Scorpio on April 7th, it's important to just let the emotions flow. Feel how you're going to feel. Let it all, kind of wash over you, not letting it overwhelm you. You want to, stay grounded. You want to keep your grounding crystals on you. Keep your clear quartz on you. Keep your amethyst for protection, just protecting your spirit and your mind. You want to do the spiritual practices that you do just to maintain that feeling of being centered and grounded during this time. But let the work through you. Again, if you want to get to it, you need to go through it, right? So again, let the emotions flow as the work is taking place, as you're doing the work, as you're going through it. But also, you may need to seclude yourself on April 7th, if possible, because this is not really a day for talking about the work. There's some aspects with regard to Mercury taking place at the same time. If you haven't seen my video on the first 7 days of April, I will link that above so you can check that out, and it talks about all the different aspects. But April 7th, as you're doing the work, it may be a day to just kind of retreat while you're focusing on this work. Then we have April 8th, and that's a good day for a social media break. So there's some aspects with regard to Neptune taking place as well. A bit of a clash as far as the aspects go. So April 8th may be a good day to take a social media break. Then we have April 9th. The moon is entering Sagittarius. So growth is occurring due to the active work that's taking place. Also, don't question your purpose. This work is directly aligned with your purpose. Directly aligned. Also, you'll see the elevation in due time. So that's coming up next week. So we have a few more days of doing this work this week. Now, April 11th. So now we're into the next week. And so I'm giving you in talking about the 8th, the 9th, the 11th, a preview of what's going on next week with this moon energy. But April 11th, the moon is trine the sun and Jupiter. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this, even though it's into next week, is because I just wanted you to know that I'm not just saying that there is help on the horizon, there's elevation around the corner, etc. I want you to know that literally it's in the stars. It's divinely aligned to know that coming up just next week after doing this work this week, that's why it's so important to take this opportunity to do the work. I mean, obviously we don't have to do the work. We have liberty, we have free will to move as we so desire, but this is just a really optimal time to take advantage of and to do the work that's necessary, because the work is necessary whether we do it or not. But just know that April 11th, we have the moon trine the sun and Jupiter, and trine is a very lucky type of energy. So the hard shadow work from this week will pay off, and April 11th will be a testimony to that. Okay, so that is everything that's happening this week with all of the moon transits taking place on an almost daily basis, including that full moon in Libra. And now I wanted to pull a few cards to see if the spirit guides had anything else to lend to this message, okay? So stick around. Okay, so I have already shuffled my Modern Witch Tarot deck, and let's just see what the spirit guides have for us. Okay, we have the Five of Swords in reverse. So Five of Swords, that's a battle of the wills. And in reverse, we're a bit resistant to the battle, but sometimes we have to, go all in. Sometimes we have to be direct. We have to be, without being aggressive, we have to be in the affirmative. We have to advocate for ourselves. And so with regard to this shadow work, I mentioned aside from a couple of days where, it might be best to kind of be offline and to yourself and, really just focus within. But the Five of Swords in reverse card is all about not being resistant to, whatever type of decisions need to be made, our mindset, not be resistant to whatever types of, just changes of our mind that we have to make. Because to do this shadow work, not only do we have to own up to and be accountable for, and it starts with acknowledging. So acknowledge the things that have taken place in our life. But then we have to be accountable for anything that we may have done. And it's not about placing blame anywhere. And it's not about taking blame if it's unnecessary. It's about just spelling out everything that has taken place. And rather than hiding it or tucking it away in, under a rock or in a little corner or just in a little box like a jack-in-the-box or in the recesses of our mind, it's about actually just putting it out there. This is what it is. And this is what, I would like to do about it. This is how I would like to heal from it. And so, again, I said this for one of the other days, just not to, don't allow yourself to stunt your own growth just because you're so resistant to having to deal with it. I can truly relate to that, to, that avoidant mentality, like, out of sight, out of mind. No, it may be out of the forefront of your mind. It's there, though. It's there when we really take the time to think about it. So instead of, in maybe a negative sense, to dwell on things, to let them consume us, we can actually think about the things, ponder them, but use it for our growth and our betterment. Use it for our wellness. Okay, we have the Ace of Pentacles. And again, this card is also in reverse. This is all about new changes. It's all about embarking on new ground with regard to material things, with regard to our growth, our abundance. You know how I said, let's see, April 6th, the day of the full moon, that just know that this hard work is essential. The shadow work is essential to our growth. So let's not hold ourselves back. It's all about preventing ourselves from getting in our own way. Okay, we have the Three of Wands. Now, this is all about, just like I just said, pondering, thinking on things. There are many things that we have going on in our life. There are many interests that we have, many desires that we have. And life's a journey, as we know, as cliche as it sounds, it is. So as we are looking over our life and thinking about all the things that have taken place this lifetime and have yet to take place, it's important to, again, not let your thoughts consume you to the point that you don't get any of the work done. It's important to think about them as you're doing the work. Okay, so I'm going to pull one of my oracle cards, and then I want to just touch on briefly what we can do to help us to do the work. Okay, so I have my African Goddess Rising Oracle deck, and I wanted to pull a card from there today. Okay, we have Medusa. This is Rage. So, and let me hold that up again. I love this card. It's so beautiful. So, like I said, the shadow work, it is something. It's really something. It's a B. And we don't want to, we don't want to have to do it. I mean, it's not, I've read, I've heard where some people are like, yay, shadow work, this is it. Yay to getting on the other side. Yay to growing, to evolving, to elevating, to the increase, the abundance, the things that we know that we will receive once we do the shadow work. But shadow work is hard. Shadow work hurts. Don't let anyone tell you that it's a breeze, it's a walk in the park, because it's not. It's painful. It is. It's a revelation, but it's hard. It's hard because I have learned in recent years, there are times that, I either have a conversation with someone or just meditating and just thinking back on some things, that things will come to my remembrance that I literally have blocked out for the past 30 plus, up to, 40 so years, have literally blocked out. Even things that happened that were traumatic, that were about 15 years ago, that I literally blocked out and had no memory of. And I don't have, issues, to that extent with my memory. So knowing that, I haven't sustained any trauma or anything like physical trauma, like a knock on the head, to know that there are things that I literally, in my subconscious, I blocked out, just completely turned a blinder onto, just as a coping mechanism to get through a situation. I'm thankful, by the grace of God, that I made it through the situation, and I'm here today thriving, not just surviving, but knowing that there are events of my life, that, like, specific events that I don't recall details of. That says something to how we process things, how we internalize things. And so it's important, it's so important to do this work. It's just so important for us to just to really take a beat, to meditate, to journal, to just allow ourselves to process things that from our past, things that have taken place. You can, ask, like, you seek this information, ask the spirit guides, through prayer, through meditation. Ask what information you need to, bring back to your remembrance for your healing. What do you need to recall in order to heal? What do you need to heal from? And it will come to you. Okay? It is a practice, a spiritual practice. This is not something that, it's like one and done. Like, yeah, you do these things for a few days and you're good. No, this is a lifetime journey and it takes work. So it's important to, there's no time like the present to get started on that. So I hope that this video has been helpful to you today. If you're interested in other content like this, please check out my channel or stay tuned for future videos. Thank you so much. Peace. Ashe.